The galaxy was old, full of empires that rose and fell like waves in a sea. Stars had seen countless wars, endless treaties and betrayals written in the ashes of burned worlds. But through all of this, one world remained strangely quiet. That world was Earth. To most alien civilizations, Earth looked small, fragile, and unimportant. The humans were younger than most empires. Their colonies spread only across a handful of stars compared to the vast domains of the great powers. While alien fleets stretched across galaxies, Earth seemed to walk with a slower step. To many, humanity looked weak. To others, they looked cautious. But to the arrogant empires that ruled the stars, humanity looked like prey. In the halls of the Galactic Council, laughter often followed whenever Earth spoke. Human ambassadors tried to warn, tried to argue for peace, but their voices were drowned out by the mocking tones of older species. Why should we listen to Earth? The warlords of the Zelari would laugh. They cannot even defend their own borders without begging for allies. Others agreed. To them, Earth was not dangerous. Earth was patient. Too patient. Stories spread among the stars. Stories of how humans refused to unleash certain weapons. How they fought with restraint even when their armies could have crushed opponents. On battlefields, human soldiers never used their most advanced machines, choosing instead to fight with ordinary weapons, holding back their true designs. Among alien taverns and marketplaces, this became a joke. They called humans the silent race, or worse, the cowards of soul. But there was one detail the galaxy always ignored. Every time Earth was mocked, every time they were cornered or insulted, the humans always gave the same quiet answer. They would say, "We are holding back," and they meant it. For centuries, the galaxy dismissed these words as empty threats. What could Earth possibly be hiding? What power could a young species have that the ancient empires did not already master? The council members laughed. The warlords ignored it. To them, Earth's words were nothing more than desperate pride. Yet behind those quiet warnings, something dark was building. Humanity had always been different. From the time of their first steps on Earth to the day they spread across the stars, they carried with them a strange fire. Unlike many races that grew slow and steady, humanity moved fast. Their technology advanced in leaps, not steps. Their history was carved in wars that tested their survival to the edge. Where other species avoided destruction, humans lived through it, adapted, and grew stronger. This was what the galaxy never understood. They saw Earth's restraint as weakness. They never realized that restraint was a choice. The day would come when that choice ended. At first, the signs were small. A human colony near the border of the Zelari Empire was attacked. The attackers expected easy victory. They believed the humans would surrender as always. But this time, Earth did not answer right away. Weeks passed in silence. The colony was burned, its people enslaved, and the galaxy once again laughed at Earth's shame. But those who listened closely felt the silence was heavier than before. It was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of something waiting. Inside Earth's command centers, deep beneath mountains and hidden under oceans, plans that had been written centuries ago began to awaken. Old machines powered on. Ships that no alien eye had ever seen left their hidden docks. Messages traveled through the void, not in public channels but in shadows, summoning fleets that had been asleep for generations. The galaxy thought Earth was weak. They thought Earth's patience was cowardice. They did not see the storm forming in the dark. When whispers began to spread that Earth was preparing, the council dismissed it again. They are bluffing, they said. They always bluff. And the galaxy believed that lie because it was easier than facing the truth. In truth, the humans had been waiting. They had been patient because patience was their greatest weapon. They had studied every empire, every war, every failure. They had seen how arrogance destroyed civilizations older than the stars. And they had sworn that when Earth rose, it would not be with hesitation. It would be with absolute power. In the dark, alien empires kept laughing. They sent jokes through the communication networks, images of humans bowing, recordings of Earth's ambassadors silenced in the council chambers. The galaxy was sure Earth would never rise. But far away, on a quiet night in the system of Sol, Earth's skies burned with fire as the first hidden fleet rose. It did not shine like the ships the galaxy knew. Its hulls were black, swallowing light, and its engines roared like thunder across the void. And at that moment, the silence ended. The galaxy had mocked Earth for the last time. The last warning. The Galactic Council had seen countless conflicts. Empires rose and fell, and every race that dared to defy the old order eventually bowed. They believed Earth would be no different. To them, the humans were only noise, too young, too reckless, too emotional. But the silence that followed the burning of Earth's colony unsettled even the most arrogant voices. At the council chamber, beneath a sky of glowing crystal arches and suspended stars, the human ambassador stood once more. His figure was small against the towering representatives of alien empires, some with scaled skin, some with shining exoskeletons, others floating in mechanical shells. His voice carried no power, no thunder, but his words carried a weight that even silence could not hide. "We warned you," the ambassador said. "For centuries we warned you. We have held back to preserve peace, but peace was mocked. You burned our worlds, enslaved our people, and laughed at our restraint. You will laugh no more." Laughter echoed across the chamber. The Zelari warlord slammed his clawed hand against the table. "Your restraint? Do not twist weakness into honor, human. You are ants speaking before titans. We burned your colonies because you cannot protect them. We will burn more if we choose," another delegate hissed. "What will you do, Earth? Send your fragile fleets? Send your soldiers with rifles against our suns? You dare to threaten the galaxy?" The ambassador did not shout. He did not beg. He simply spoke, and his words silenced the chamber in a way no weapon could. "Do not confuse patience with fear. Do not mistake mercy for weakness. This is your last warning." Then he turned and walked out, leaving the chamber filled with laughter once more. But beneath that laughter was unease, because no human had ever spoken with such calm, such finality. It was the kind of calm a storm carried before it broke. The weeks that followed carried rumors. Alien scouts reported strange movements in the Sol system. Satellites vanished. Ships that attempted to spy on Earth returned burned, if they returned at all. Quiet whispers spread. Fleets were gathering, but no one could see them. The Council dismissed it as paranoia. They told themselves Earth had no such power. The humans were bluffing. They always bluffed. Still, fear began to gnaw at the edges of confidence. On the trade worlds, merchants whispered of a shadow fleet. On military outposts, officers spoke of humans who seemed too calm, as if waiting for something inevitable. The more Earth stayed silent, the louder the galaxy's fear grew. The Zelari Empire, eager to test Earth's threat, struck again. Their warships entered another human colony, this one on the edge of Orion's arm. The humans there were given no chance to fight. The colony was taken, its people dragged into chains. Across the networks of the galaxy, broadcasts showed humans bent under alien whips, their cities in ruins, their skies filled with fire. The Council watched and said nothing. To them, this was proof. Proof that Earth could not act. Proof that the warning had been hollow. But to Earth, it was the final spark. Beneath the oceans of Neptune, hidden shipyards that had been silent for hundreds of years roared awake. On the far side of the moon, weapons long buried in stone broke free of their prison. On Mars, deep under the red sand, vaults opened to reveal fleets of war machines built for a day humanity prayed would never come. Commanders looked to Earth itself. The order was given with no speech, no celebration, no announcement. Humanity did not need to boast. The order was simple. Unleash the fleets. From the blue oceans to the frozen poles, from the deserts to the deep cities beneath mountains, Earth's people prepared as one. They did not cheer for war. They did not hunger for revenge. They simply remembered every insult, every chain placed on their people, every laugh that followed their warnings, and they were done being silent. The Council received one final message. It did not come from a diplomat. It did not come from a soldier. It came from Earth itself, a broadcast sent across every channel, every world, every corner of the galaxy. The voice was cold, steady, and without mercy. You mocked us when we said we were holding back. You enslaved our people. You burned our homes. Now you will see the fire we kept hidden. This is the last warning you will ever hear. The message ended. No demands followed. No calls for negotiation. No pleas for peace. Silence spread again, heavier than before. The galaxy laughed once more, but their laughter cracked at the edges. Some began to fear the humans might not be bluffing this time. And when the first human fleet appeared at the borders of the Zelari Empire, black ships with engines that burned like suns, every laugh died. The unveiling of true power. The Zelari Empire had seen countless enemies. They had crushed rebels, burned planets, and silenced every rival who dared to rise against them. When their scouts first reported human ships at the edge of their territory, the warlords laughed. "Let them come," they said. "Let the cowards of Sol finally learn how weak they are." But what appeared was not the Earth they expected. The first sight was of a single ship. It was enormous, larger than anything the Zelari had ever seen, its hull black like the void itself. No light reflected off it. Its surface seemed alive, shifting with faint lines of orange fire that pulsed like veins. The ship did not broadcast signals. It did not answer hails. It simply moved forward, slow and steady, as if nothing in the galaxy could block its path. The Zelari sent a fleet of 50 warships to meet it. Their cannons charged, their missiles armed. To them it was a game. They would tear this human toy apart and send the wreckage back to Earth as a warning. When they opened fire, space lit with a storm of energy. Beams, torpedoes, and missiles rained upon the human ship. Explosions tore across the darkness, flashes so bright they blinded sensors. For a moment, the Zelari commanders celebrated. No ship could survive such firepower. No empire had ever stood against their guns. But when the light faded, the human ship was still there. Not a scratch marked its surface. The Zelari officers stared in silence, then the ship spoke. Not in words, but in action. From its hull, dozens of dark shapes detached. Smaller ships, fast and sharp like blades of black steel, they moved with speed beyond anything the Zelari had seen. They cut through the enemy fleet in silence. One by one, Zelari warships exploded into fire. Their shields useless, their armor shredded. The human flagship never fired a single weapon. It only advanced as if watching its children hunt. The battle ended in minutes. 50 ships destroyed, thousands of lives gone. The humans did not collect wreckage. They did not broadcast victory. They simply vanished into the dark, leaving behind silence and fear. Word spread like wildfire. The council received reports faster than they could deny them. Witnesses spoke of black fleets that moved like shadows, of weapons that bent light, of soldiers who fought like machines. Rumors told of colonies destroyed without a single shot fired, of entire armadas vanishing without trace. The galaxy, once full of laughter at Earth's restraint, now trembled. On a distant world, a council observer recorded the arrival of a second human fleet. This one carried weapons beyond imagination. Massive railguns fired projectiles at speeds so great they tore moons apart. Drones swarmed like locusts, their weapons cutting ships into pieces before they could even raise shields. And at the center of it all, human commanders watched with eyes colder than any machine. The alien races began to realize the truth. Earth had never been weak. They had never been cowards. They had been preparing. For centuries they had hidden their true strength, waiting, studying, building weapons the galaxy could not understand. Their restraint had not been fear. It had been mercy, and mercy had ended. The Zelari warlords demanded help. They begged the council to send fleets, but other empires hesitated. If Earth's power was real, then joining the war would mean destruction. Some chose to remain silent, hoping the humans would strike only the Zelari. Others whispered in secret, wondering if they could ally with Earth before it was too late. The humans gave no answer. They offered no deals. They made no speeches. They simply unleashed their fleets. In battle after battle, Earth's enemies fell. Alien admirals watched in horror as their ships, once thought invincible, were erased from the sky. Weapons that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years meant nothing before the storm Earth had unleashed. And yet, what frightened the galaxy most was not the destruction itself. It was the silence. No human shouted in triumph. No commander boasted. No broadcast celebrated victory. They moved like shadows, precise and merciless, as if this was not war but justice. In the council chamber, silence fell where laughter once ruled. Representatives stared at each other, afraid to speak. The memory of the human ambassador's warning echoed in their minds. We are holding back. Now they understood. The galaxy had mocked Earth's restraint. Now they were seeing what humanity had kept hidden, and it was only the beginning. Humanity unleashed, the galaxy had seen wars before. It had seen empires clash, fleets burn, and planets vanish in fire. But never had it seen what came when Earth finally let go of restraint. The first strikes were like storms. Entire Zelari strongholds fell in a single night. Planets that once mocked humanity now burned with fire that no shield could stop. Human fleets appeared without warning, black ships sliding out of the void like shadows given shape. By the time sensors detected them, it was already too late. Alien admirals tried to fight. They ordered their ships to hold the line, to use the weapons that had defended their empires for millennia. But nothing worked. Human weapons moved faster, struck harder, and cut deeper. Shields that had once lasted for weeks collapsed in seconds. Armor built from rare metals cracked as if it were glass. Missiles never reached their targets, intercepted and destroyed by swarms of drones before they could even be seen. To the humans, it was not war. It was judgment. On one border world, 1,000 alien soldiers waited behind massive walls. They had heard that humans were fragile, that they broke easily. They believed this battle would prove it. But when human soldiers came, they came with machines unlike anything the galaxy had ever known. Tall walkers strode across the battlefield, their cannons spitting fire that tore fortresses apart in minutes. Human soldiers moved with precision, every step planned, every shot perfect. They did not hesitate. They did not falter. And when the battle was done, the walls were ash, the armies gone, and silence filled the air. The survivors whispered of eyes colder than machines, of voices that gave no mercy. "They fight as if they already won," one alien muttered before the humans dragged him away. Across the stars, this story repeated again and again. Fleets vanished. Colonies fell. Empires begged the Council for protection. But the Council could do nothing. Their fleets too were destroyed when they tried to intervene. Their meetings, once filled with laughter and mockery, now echoed with fear. No one dared to speak against Earth, and still, humanity did not gloat. They gave no speeches. They made no broadcasts. They simply advanced. The galaxy began to see the truth. For centuries, humanity had studied them. They had learned every weakness, every strength, every habit of every empire. Where the Zelari relied on brute force, Earth used speed and precision. Where the Council powers trusted in numbers, Earth used weapons that turned numbers into nothing. Where others had grown arrogant, humanity had grown patient. Patience had become their most dangerous weapon. In a single year, the Zelari Empire collapsed. Worlds that once flew its banners now flew none at all. Survivors scattered, hunted by fleets that seemed to appear wherever they fled. Other empires watched in horror. They had called Earth a child among giants. Now that child had become something else, something even giants could not face. Yet the most terrifying part was not the destruction. It was the silence after. Everywhere humans conquered, they left behind nothing but stillness. Cities burned, fleets vanished, and then the humans were gone, moving on to the next target. They did not stay to rule. They did not stay to claim. They only erased, then left silence behind. Some races begged for peace. They sent messages across the void, offering tribute, offering alliance, offering surrender. Earth did not answer. Their fleets moved without pause, without compromise, as if the galaxy's words no longer mattered. In the darkest corners of space, whispers grew louder. Perhaps humans are not like us, some said. Perhaps they are something older, something hidden in flesh and bone. Others spoke of legends, of ancient destroyers who once scoured the stars. And in every whisper was the same fear. What if humanity had only shown a fraction of its power? The Council finally broke. In desperation, they called an emergency gathering. Leaders of dozens of species filled the chamber, their voices trembling. They demanded to know what could be done. Some wanted to unite against Earth, to gather all fleets into one. Others begged to surrender before it was too late. But no agreement came. They argued, they shouted, and still the human fleets advanced, and then the chamber went silent. Because the humans arrived. Not with soldiers. Not with fleets. But with a single message. The council chamber shook as the broadcast filled the hall. A human voice, calm and steady, spoke to every delegate, every empire, every world. You laughed when we warned you. You mocked our silence. You believed patience was weakness. Now you see what we hid. We do not want your tribute. We do not want your alliance. We do not want your words. We will finish what you began. No one laughed. No one spoke. The chamber sat in silence, every delegate pale with fear. For the first time in galactic history, the old powers realized they were not rulers anymore. They were prey, and Earth was the hunter. The new order of Earth, the galaxy, was quiet. For the first time in thousands of years, the great empires no longer boasted of power. Their fleets were gone, their colonies turned to ash, and their leaders hid behind trembling walls. The endless noise of politics, of trade, of war had fallen silent. And in that silence only one name remained. Earth. World after world had seen the black fleets arrive. They had watched as moons cracked, as fortresses burned, as armies were erased in moments. They had seen soldiers who never hesitated, commanders who never paused, weapons that no one could understand. Humanity had risen like a shadow and the galaxy could not look away. The council was no more. Its chamber stood empty, the great crystal arches broken, the seats abandoned. The empires that once ruled through arrogance and mockery were reduced to fragments, scattered across the stars. Some had begged for peace. Some had tried to fight. None had survived unchanged. And then came the moment the galaxy feared most. Earth spoke again. The message spread through every channel, reaching every colony, every station, every world. The voice was human, calm as always, but colder now, stripped of mercy. "We warned you," it said. "We told you for centuries that we were holding back. You mocked us. You enslaved our people. You burned our homes. You believed restraint was weakness. Now you know the truth. Restraint was mercy. Mercy that is gone." The message did not ask for tribute. It did not ask for surrender. It gave no list of demands. It was simply a statement of fact, and that fact was enough. Across the stars, alien leaders trembled. Entire populations waited in fear, wondering if they would be next. But something strange happened. Humanity's fleet stopped. They did not conquer more worlds. They did not enslave. They did not demand. They simply remained, watching, as if daring the galaxy to move. The silence was worse than destruction. Whispers filled the void. Why had Earth stopped? What did they want? Were they waiting for something greater, something the galaxy could not imagine? Some hoped this was mercy, that humanity had proven its strength and would now let the galaxy live. Others feared this was only the beginning, that Earth was simply giving them time to understand before finishing what they had started. In the ruins of the Zelari homeworld, survivors saw the truth more clearly than anyone. Where once stood great towers of steel and stone, now there was only blackened earth. Yet the humans had not stayed to rule. They had left, leaving behind silence and ruins. One survivor whispered to another, "They do not want our worlds. They do not want our lives. They want us to remember," and remember they did. The galaxy, once united in mockery, was now united in fear. No one dared to laugh at Earth again. No one dared to test them. Ships moved carefully near human borders, never too close, never too bold. Ambassadors from other races traveled to Sol not with arrogance but with trembling respect. Their voices soft, their eyes lowered. For the first time, Earth did not need to demand obedience. The galaxy gave it willingly. On Earth itself, the people did not celebrate. There were no festivals, no songs of victory. They remembered the colonies burned, the lives enslaved, the generations mocked. Their triumph was heavy, carved with loss. Humanity had not wanted to unleash its fury, but when forced they had done so without hesitation, and now the galaxy knew what they truly were. In the shadows of hidden command centers, human leaders watched the stars. They spoke in quiet voices, not of conquest but of survival. "We were patient for centuries," one general said. "We will be patient again." But they will never forget. And they were right. Every empire that survived carried scars. Every world that once mocked Earth now spoke of them in whispers, like one speaks of storms or fire. Humanity had become something larger than a nation, larger than a species. They had become a warning written across the stars. The final truth spread slowly from whispers to legends. Earth did not need to conquer the galaxy. They already owned it, not with chains or crowns, but with fear. And fear was stronger than any empire. The last words of the human broadcast echoed for centuries, carved into the memory of every world. "You laughed at our silence. Now you will live in it." And the galaxy did.